Chapter 2. When Death's Align. Well, that's a really grim name for a chapter. So, later that evening... Oh, hey, this is kind of cool. We get a bird's eye view of, this scene. This is different. Okay, Lieutenant Ma. What's going on, Lieutenant Ma? Magistrate Dai, I'm so good. I'm so glad to see you. As you no doubt heard by now, it's happened again. Sometime between 2 and 3 hours ago, the lady of this house was brutally murdered while she was reading in the study. Go on. It's a horrible mess, just like what happened to Zhu Lenfei. Took me a moment just to gather myself after I saw the body. It's like a flashback, except that it wasn't. These two women, they've been murdered in the exact same way. What else have you found out? This place belongs to Lam Haifeng. The victim was his wife, a young woman named Shi Wenyan. Apparently they've been married less than a month. The Lambs employ an elderly house steward and 2 servants, but all 3 live in a small adjacent residence south of the main compound. As far as we know, the 3 of them had completed their task for the day and returned to their residence when the murder took place. The front gate has a rather flimsy lock, which our killer seems to have picked without difficulty. Coroner Yao is in there examining the body now. He can tell you more about the crime scene. Did you speak to the husband? Only briefly. He seemed quite shaken, but he seems to have a solid alibi. He's in the study now, waiting to speak to you. Thank you, Lieutenant. You stay here and make sure no one goes in or out. Okay, so I can exit to the map, but obviously that's not what I want to do here. Oh, and I'm not carrying any evidence anymore because I started a new chapter. Okay, so how do I... Okay, so I just click to go upwards. How do you even get to that place on the right-hand side? How do you even reach that? By swimming? Very mysterious murder. Very mysterious indeed. I mean, that's not even the murder. That's just getting around the house. That's mysterious. So let's talk to Lam first. Well, let's look at him first. I don't want to check out the body. That's a lot of blood. I really don't want to see that. He was once a rising star among military elites. Why did he give that up? We can't. His star can't. I mean, his sun could not have completely faded. But I'm messing up my metaphors. His star could not have completely faded if he's being courted by General Zhang, right? Mr. Lam? Mr. Lam! Yes, I'm Lam Haifeng. Are you alright? I'm Magistrate Dai Renjai. I'm in charge of this inquiry. I apologize for my poor manners. My mind's a jumbled mess. There'll be time for grief. For now, you must gather yourself. I only have a few questions. Of course, please proceed. I want to help you in any way I can. I know time's of the essence. So tell me about yourself. Had you asked that question any other day, I could have given you an assured response. Son of a great general, I was once a golden boy, destined for greatness. Or at least that's what I was told. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that life was not for me. That life was not for me. Military life? No, I grew up with a sword in hand, but it was a lie. I could never fulfill my father's legacy. There's no dishonor in choosing your own path. I thought so as well, yet here I stand, faced with utter ruin. My only love viciously taken from me, my life shattered into 1,000 pieces. Perhaps I deserve this fate from my filial betrayals. You must remain resolute. Do you think the memory of your wife deserves to be tarnished by doubt? You're right. Wenyan gave me the 2 happiest months of my life. I'll always cherish that. So about Shi Wenyan, your wife. After my father died, I was lost and alone. I had no sense of purpose, no direction. Then I met Wenyan. She was a beacon of hope. She helped me to see a new life, divorced from the military duties that shackled me for so long. I had wished to spend the rest of my days in one military... I had no wish to spend my life in military barracks. I fell in love with Wenyan. She became the center of my world. And you married her only a short time after? Yes, we were married a few weeks after we met. I didn't want to waste any more time. Wenyan also had a difficult life. We both wanted to start anew. What do you know about Shi Wenyan's past? I think she was a bookkeeper for her time. She was an incredibly smart woman, but she struggled to find steady employment. An attractive and strong-minded woman like her is often seen as a threat. But that's what I love so much about her, that spark, that intelligence. Her curiosity and thirst for knowledge was unquenchable. That's why she spent so much time in this room. She loved to sit and read for hours. So, tell me more about your retirement from Imperial forces. It was a clear repudiation of my father's wishes, but after his death I could no longer continue the charade. I grew tired of the political machinations of a perverted military upper class. Men like General Zhang will abuse their power simply to perpetuate it. I found peace in my new life, something I could never dream of before. And General Zhang? Zhang Chao was more reptile than man, if you ask me. He courted my father's backing on many occasions, hoping to consolidate power in the shadows. But my father resisted until the end. He knew a man like Zhang could not be trusted. Did Zhang attempt to contact you? Yes, more than once, but I had no patience for his odious nature, let alone his deplorable schemes. Oh, there's nothing for us to talk about. His advances were squarely rejected. As a matter of fact, I had to turn away from one of his lackeys just this morning. What was the purpose of the visit? He came to remind me that some kind of special meeting taking place tonight, a gathering of so-called patriots assembled by Zhang himself. Apparently an invitation was sent to my father before I died, but I'd long ago lost interest in such political antics or pay any attention to it. The gathering's tonight? Do you know where your father put the invitation? No, I'm afraid not. Well, we'll have to look for it. What happened here? Tell me what happened here. I'd been out all afternoon. When I came home, the servants had already retired to their private residence, but I knew something was wrong when I saw the front gate was unlocked. I noticed the light from this room and assumed Wenyan was reading, as she has the habit of doing most evenings. But when I stepped inside, there she was, dead, defiled, and drenched in her own blood. And, where were you this afternoon? I was at tea house discussing business with 2 friends. You can speak to them if you wish. I told this to your lieutenant already. Other than those involved, who knew about your meeting at the tea house this afternoon? No one. I was meeting with my friends to discuss a small business venture. I see no reason for anyone to take such an interest in such a routine affair. How often were you having these meetings? 3 times a week. My friends are busy merchants. We do our best to schedule the meetings ahead of time, but I still don't understand why this is relevant. It's precisely because these meetings were routine that they may be of relevance. Think of it. How did the killer know your wife would be alone? You're right. Someone who knew my movements. How could I be so careless? Wenyan, what have I done? And her enemies? Did she have any enemies? People who would want to harm her? My wife was a gentle and reserved person. She had no enemies. Then perhaps someone hurt her to get to you. I imagine a man in your position makes a few enemies along the way. But I've given all that up! I know my retirement ruffled some feathers, but my decision was met with more than ridicule than resentment. Truth be told, most people were happy to see me walk away. It gave them one more vacant position to fight over. Did anyone take special interest in your decision? Now that you mention it, General Zhang did pay me a visit. He wanted me to reconsider. He said a new regime was on the horizon and I could play a key role in it. Had I promised him my allegiance, my father's troops would have followed my lead, but I refused him on the spot. I told him to leave and never come back. Do you think Zhang might be responsible for this? My father warned me about his intimidation tactics. Did I underestimate his depravity? If he's responsible, he will pay with his own life. I swear he will! I apologize. I suppose retirement did little to snuff out the fighter in me. Please find our killer, Magistrate Dai. We are both in your hands. Okay, and about the missing walkway. I noticed a rather odd feature in your water garden. Me too. Where's the walkway? Oh, that walkway's an old remnant from my father's military heydays. It opens a passage to a secret war room. I haven't used that room since he passed away, so I decided to keep the walkway closed. Perhaps it would be prudent for me to have a look. How's the walkway opened? Father would turn in his grave if he knew I let anyone else enter the room, but I suppose life is full of disappointments. Here's the lever that opens the walkway. Sweet. You need to figure out how to open the entrance on your own, though. I've long forgotten the combination. That sounds like a puzzle. That's all for now. Thank you, Mr. Lam. Okay, so can I look at anything on his desk? No, but there's a rose here. I'm sorry, I've got to take a look at this rose. The killer has left behind another rose. I'm going to take this. Another rose. It looks like our killer has a taste for theatrics, but why a rose? What about this right bookcase? General Lam has collected a lifetime of knowledge in this room. The bookcase contains books and scrolls about the arts, philosophy, and the game. A game I've never heard of before. Library spans a great deal of subject matters. The bookcase contains books and scrolls about history, politics, and warfare. Oh, I want to look at the corpse. Please let there not be a close-up zoom-up. Lieutenant Ma was right. Her wounds match those found on Zhu Linfei. There you are! I was wondering when you'd join us. I hope you've had ample time to digest your last meal. I had to send Lieutenant Ma outside when his face started to turn pale. Thank you, Colonel Yao. I think I'll manage. Good, it's not every day one sees this kind of brutality. The poor girl's been eviscerated and left exposed. As soon as we're done here, I'll have some constables take her back to the morgue. Of course, let's make sure she's transported with care. Is a preliminary report ready? Yes, I finished my initial examination. The girl might be dead, but she still has a lot to tell us.